Hello, it's Dr. Abby again. And tell me the stories of Jesus. It's another beautiful Sunday. How has the week been for you? Happy that we're starting a new week and we're still talking about going to the promised land, the do's and the don'ts. And today we're going to talk about two short stories, two different groups of people, and we need to learn from it, yeah? So it's what to do, what not to do, but today it's what not to do, definitely what not to do on our way to the promised land, on our way to getting to that thing that God has promised for us in 2025 and beyond. So it's in the scriptures because all our stories are always from the Bible. Yes, Numbers chapter 16, one story, and Numbers chapter 20, another story. So in the first one, what do we want to learn? The focus for the first one is that as a member of the team on your way to the promised land, especially if you're not a leader, everybody cannot be the leader, everybody cannot be leading, then who will be following? So if you're not a leader, but you're on your way to the promised land, and we will all get there, leader or not, what must I not do? And the other one, Numbers 20. You are a leader. You are the leader on your way to the promised land. What must I not do? So in Numbers 16, a very quick story. Some men of Israel, they just gathered themselves and they became quite haughty, quite proud. And they started to talk against Moses and Aaron. And they started to rebel. That means they were throwing tantrums and they were like, who made you Lord over us? Who told you you're better than us? And they went on and on and on about it. And you know, when people go on and on about things like that, they started to gather even more people. They were telling more people who said Moses is our leader, who said he knows better than us, who said, who said. And before you could, say Jack Robinson, yeah, they grew so many, a crowd, a lot of Israelites that grumbled against Moses. And remember, Moses is the leader that God chose. He didn't want it. He was running away, remember, in the bush when God called him. So he was specially chosen by God. And so Moses was like, what's all this about? God was involved in everything. And then Moses spoke to these people. Their leader is called Korah, and said, you know what? If you know truly that this is the way you feel about things, I'm giving you one more chance. He gave all their followers that were grumbling with them, those that wanted to repent and come back on the side of Moses, on the side of God. He gave them that chance. And yes, some people quickly left that grumbling party and came back to their senses and came to Moses and Aaron. And then Korah, his family, his wives, other brethren, other men, they still stood their ground. You are not the boss of me. Do we do that at times? Yeah? No, it's not good. You're not the boss of me. And you know what God did? Very sad, but God made the ground open up. And as the ground opened up, more like, I think today we'll say maybe earthquake or something, a sinkhole, whatever you call it, it opened up and they were all buried in it and the earth closed up back. God used it to show that you don't grumble against me. You don't question the authority that I have put in place, yeah? So we'll come back and we'll learn from that story. Or let's learn now. So on our way to the promised land, if you find yourself in a position that you're not the leader, always recognize the person, the people that God has put in that position to lead. At the end of the day, it's a teamwork. You're all going to the promised land. Don't delay things because all these things cause delay. Don't delay things by grumbling, by mumbling, by running people down. No, even if you see that the leaders are not doing what they are meant to do, pray for them, encourage them, help them, ask, do you need my help? How can I help? That's what we need to do. Because it gets to a point where even God goes, no, that's it, enough, go. You're not going to the promised land again. If you're going to be delaying us and, making things go backwards, you are not going to the promised land again. So that's where we want to be very, very careful. That even though God has promised us we're going to the promised land, if we don't behave ourselves, we can do things that makes God says, you know what, enough, you're not going again, out of the car. It's the same way if you're causing disruption on a flight, before it flies, they can get the security to get you out and say, no, we can't fly with somebody so disruptive. I've seen it before. So please recognize the leadership that God has put and help them, pray for them, don't grumble against them. If there's something they're not doing right, speak to God. You don't like what your head boy is doing. Or at times, mommy and daddy are the leaders, where we are going. You don't like what mommy and daddy is doing. You don't ever grumble against them. Remember, honor your father and your mother. What do? We pray for them. We ask God to teach us what to do, how to help those people. Your teacher can be your leader. Your friend can be the leader of the team. Because like I said, everybody cannot lead. So that's one, if you find yourself in a place where you're not the leader. Now the other one is in Numbers chapter 20. And that is Moses as the leader, leading that great responsibility, leading people to the promised land. When God puts you as a leader, even as we go to our promised land, it's a huge responsibility. So what happened there was that there was no water, and the children of Israel started to grumble as usual again. By then, Moses felt, you people should know better. God will come through. And he wasn't happy, and he spoke to God. And God said, you know what? There are different ways in which God does miracles that we've seen so far. So God told Moses, speak to that rock. If you speak to the rock, water will gush out. Remember, miracles, we don't have to know how to explain it. God just does his own thing that can never be proven with science. So speak to the rock and water will come out. And what did Moses do? Because he was angry. By this time he had had enough. These children of Israel, he was really angry. That rod that God has used and helped him, to do various miracles. Remember, the rod turned to snake, the rod he stretched, it parted the Red Sea. So he got so familiar with the rod. He took the rod and he hit the rock twice. Boom, boom, and water gushed out. And the children of Israel, they've had what they wanted, the water, and they were happy. But God called Moses and said, I told you to speak. I didn't tell you to hit the rock. I didn't tell you to be angry. I gave you instruction. You're a leader. You should know better. And because of that, you will not go into the promised land. I will choose somebody else to take the children of Israel into the promised land. How sad. And let's learn our lessons quickly. I'll start from the how sad. Moses that had gone a long way with God. Yeah? Right from when he helped the children, God used him to lead them out of Egypt. He knew better. And with all he had done and sacrificed, he didn't get to the promised land. That is so sad. So number one lesson, don't think because you're the leader, you're going somewhere. If you misbehave, God will say, oh, because he's the leader. No, there are consequences. Remember we said rules and regulation. So he didn't obey, God dealt with him. Because God felt he should have known better. By now you know the children of Israel. You know they grumble. And at the end of the day, it's about me, God. It's not about you, Moses. And I said, speak. When God tells us to do some things, we must remember that it's about God and it's about God's honor continuing. Moses getting angry and hitting the rock. He was passing another message across to the children of Israel. They are thinking, whoa, what is this what God told him to do? What type of God gets, so angry and throws tantrums like that? Because God told Moses, I wanted my honor my honor to be respected. I wanted my honor in you carrying out this assignment, and you didn't do it. Speak. So anytime you're angry, whatever you're going through, especially when you are a leader, you need to always pray, God, please help me. Help me to manage my emotions. Speak. Don't lash out. Always learn to speak. And when you're speaking, don't be angry. Take time to calm down. You don't have to speak immediately. Take time out, then come back again. Because there are times if you speak immediately, all your emotions will just come out how you're feeling, and then you regret it later. Don't lash out. Remember, it's all about God. There has to be respect for God. Don't do things that would make people think, oh, and he's a Christian? Is this how Christians behave? They lash out, they hit out, yeah? And then there is this saying, it's not in the scriptures, but it says, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. What does that mean? You are in that place of, authority. More is expected of you. To whom much is given, much is expected. You're expected to behave better than Korah. Remember Korah we just talked about now. You behave better. So how is Moses better than Korah if he can't manage his temper? Yeah? So please, on our way to the promised land, let me recap the two stories. We don't grumble. We don't gather people against authority. We respect authority. We help authority. And even when you are then in authority, manage your emotions. Manage your weaknesses. Listen to God. Remember, it's all about God, not about you. So in your actions, always remember, when God tells you to do something, it's to glorify His name. It's not that you do something that then makes people, say negative things about God. And the last thing, every time the children of Israel disobeyed, Moses will beg God on their behalf. Have mercy. God, have mercy. I can't see anywhere in the Bible where anybody begged God for Moses. When God said, you know what, you won't go to that promised land. There are consequences for your actions. Even Aaron, his brother, who is close to him, didn't hear him say, oh God, please, please, please have mercy on Moses. So remember also that, some things that you do, it's not guaranteed that you will get somebody to then beg and speak on your behalf. So be very, very, very careful and take that position of leadership, even as we get to the promised land. Take it with all seriousness, all soberness, all sense of responsibility. Until the next time, please keep being good. It's Dr. Abby on Tell Me the Stories of Jesus. Bye.